Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sharu, and I got a Astro Weather update for you today, Monday the 29th it is. And we have a new moon coming up. And so this is a good time to start releasing the old cycle of the last moon cycle and to start planning for the new one. And today's a great day for that. But first of all, just to talk about the new moon we have coming up is going to be in the constellation Bharani, which is ruled over by Yama, who is known as the Lord of Dharma. And so this is a whole cycle. This coming moon, May the 4th, be with you, the new moon, is going to be a whole cycle related to doing your Dharma and like removing the things that aren't that, replacing it with a new thing. And hopefully it's your essence. It's like what you do in your life, what your Dharma is. And, this is what the main reason why I do Vedic astrology is to help people align with their essence self, with their dharma, you know, and inspire people to do what excites them. And so with Vedic astrology, you can get really precise to see exactly with precision the details and the exact expression of that dharma. And so you can schedule a reading with the link above here. And so today is a really great day for planning, ultimately. The constellation is the Vedic constellation Shatabhisha, which means 100 medicines or 100 healers. And so, keep it 100 today, right? um, and it's all about coming up with lots of different ideas and solutions. And so it's very much like about brainstorming. It's just like throwing it all on the wall, so to speak, and see what sticks, and just let the pen fly, ultimately. And so, yeah, really good for nighttime. This constellation's one of the constellations for astrologers, as you'll see, as I have it very prominent in my chart. Go figure. And so it's about coming up with these kind of more global, universal ideas. And so it's ruled over by this god Varuna, who is like the midnight sky, or below the earth is like the darkest place. We don't have sight of it, and Varuna is there watching everything with his 100 eyes even. And so there's a really cool story related to Varuna, and so basically there was this king who really wanted a son, and he kept trying, and he never had any luck. And so finally he prayed to Varuna to have a son, and Varuna said, okay, you can have a son, but you have to sacrifice a son on his 11th birthday. And so the king didn't care. He's just like, I just want this son. I'll figure something else out, hopefully. And so, sure enough, he had the son. And on the 11th birthday, the son heard about this deal he made with Varuna and ran away. And so Varuna came on the 11th birthday and was like, hey, where's the son? And he's like, I don't know, he left. And he's pretty glad that he left because he was so passionate and in love with him. And so he cursed the king with a disease, and like dropsy. And so the king was in so much dismay, and he went to the sage Vashishta and asked him, like, how do I get out of this curse? Like, what's going on? And he told him the story of the deal he made, and he's like, he said a son. He didn't say that son, And so I guess in Vedic laws or whatever, there's like 10 different types of sons you can have, and one of them is by purchasing a son. And so he went to a Brahmin that couldn't afford to pay for the son, and sold him the son. And luckily he taught him all these like Varuna mantras and stuff. And so when the king sacrificed the son to Varuna, he was able to get out of it through his devotion and these magic mantras. And so, this story shows in a big way, like Shatabhisha people, which me, it's like what I do in a big way. It's like coming up with unique solutions that you didn't see before. It's like we tend to like narrow in on, it's just like, gotta be this one thing. and we have to chunk back and look at the whole big picture. And brainstorming is a really big part of that, to do that. And so this is what I do with my clients all the time. It's like giving them that more universal astrological perspective and allowing them to see a unique solution that they didn't see before. And so, yeah, pretty cool. I love all these stories. They teach us so many lessons. And so today we're gonna prove the point here by having Tara have her chart read. So let's pull her up on Skype here, and I will put on my headphones and go ahead and call her up. Okay. Oh, good. The Skype music. Gotta have the Skype music. All right. Hi. So, can you mute your the Facebook Live? Because it's
Yeah.
great. All right, let's get you on here. Hi.
Hi.
Yay. Okay, excellent. So, let me go ahead and pull up your chart here on the board. But while we get started, why don't you tell me like what's going on for you? Like, what inspired you to want to have your chart looked at today?
Mm. Well, I'm always inspired. I love your readings.
Yay.
Um,
Excellent.
and you had posted a few days ago something about Saturn being eclipsed.
Oh, yeah.
And I have like 5 of my planets are in Saturn and one's in Mars.
In Western or Vedic?
In a system, in a different system that I use.
Okay.
Um, so I've definitely been experiencing that.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Cool.
yeah. So
Okay.
I'm more so intrigued of like what exactly is happening. Um,
Yeah. Relative to how it affects your chart,
yeah.
of course. So let me finish putting up your chart here. Venus in Pisces in the 12th. Wee!
Ooh.
And your moon down here in 0 degrees Scorpio. Really sensitive zone.
Wow.
Yeah. I liked it. Really, it's cool with this chart. You could see, instead of just seeing, oh, that's 0 degrees, it's like, yeah, it's 0 degrees, so it means that. It's like, whoa, whoa, okay. um, but it just means, being more in transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, let's see here. Yeah. Well, in the Vedic system, your sun is in Capricorn, which is Saturn ruled. But so what's going on is that Saturn and the South Node are in your ninth house, which is all about teaching ultimately.
Mm.
It's like what what's your highest path in dharma and doing that perfection, right? But yeah, what's what's been going on for you? Like how have you been
Um,
how have you been feeling it?
I've been feeling it as I feel like I've almost taken a step back
Mm-hmm.
and I'm collecting all the things, like collecting my medicine bag
Uh-huh.
and doing over, kind of getting rid of things, enhancing others.
Right.
So my gifts right now are really excelling at the activating what's coming in,
Yeah.
and it feels like it's gearing up to birth something completely new.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it's in a holding period.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something waiting to be picked up.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the dilemma this year is it might feel like that holding period all the way till October,
Oh.
you know? And so people are like, this thing is coming and it's coming and it's coming, you know? So it's really about doing like the daily thing that's going to build towards it, right?
Hmm.
And also perhaps maybe surrendering to that it's coming. But I'm a guy of action, so I'm like, no, just figure out a way to, you know, work with the stars rather than just making an excuse, you know. Um, and so, yeah, it's just really the way that Saturn is in your chart. It rules the career and community, like in ambitions. And so it's like, okay, what is this real, like the highest path and purpose, right? Um, and uh, connecting it to, yeah, your like highest spirituality, you know, like your enlightenment, which is like a really tall order, right? Um, and so and then just to point this out too, with this really sensitive moon at 0 degrees Scorpio,
Hmm.
right? You're going to be extra sensitive to any kind of energy that's going on in your environment, or, you know, in the big astral environment as well. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. And so, uh, yeah, basically the, yeah, let's see. The eclipses are going to be happening in your third house and again in this ninth house because that's where the Saturn thing is. And so the energy really goes towards where the North Node is, uh, third house, which is self expression and communication, right? And so that's really also the focus is like this really deep refinement of your dharma, of your path, of your purpose. And then, but making sure, you know, that you're having a means of expressing it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And so, yeah, with and also what you have here, which is not shown, is I do this mathematical point called the Aruda Lugna, which is like your public image, right? And so it's like there's this homework assignment to be out there more and teach, yet you would want to like withdraw from it, you know, and not want to do it unless it's this perfect thing, right? um, so in a way, it's like, what can you do to commit to that teaching, you know, to like advising people, to guiding people, right? Like, what is it that you could do? Um, yeah. So yeah. Any other kind of, well, you just want to kind of know like what the astro weather is doing for you, right? So um,
Right. If it was like, even though this, it seems like some things may be stacked up against, it's more like, yes, just keep going. Like it's not, oh, your project's gonna, release next year. It's like, no, just keep going.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, and what happened too is in March, spring equinox, the nodes were here for like a year and a half. And so the south node being in career for a year and a half is very much like, okay, I want it to be this perfect thing and like withdraw from it if it's not connected to my highest path, and so feeling kind of like chronically dissatisfied with maybe your expression out there.
Mm.
And then also the sun being there too, it's like I want to really, it causes more of that introversion, you know, and that introspection. And so, um, yeah, I think it's, and now it's like, all right, now the nodes are here, and it's like, okay, spiritualizing your dharma, which is perfect, right? That works, and
Hmm.
then focusing on the expression of it, right? The self expression. Now, what's also interesting is you're gonna go through a big shift this year. If you look at the Facebook Live, it'll come up in a second. On right when this Saturn K2 transit stops being so pronounced, you're gonna go into a whole new phase. Um, October, like mid October 2019, and it is the south node of the moon cycle for 7 years, right? And so it's kind of like more of this, like refinement, but this one's the major cycle of it, right? So this is a pretty huge shift that you're going through right now. And so it's interesting that I said in the beginning, it's like, oh, let's wait till October for something to come through. And then it's actually reflecting it in your own personal karmic cycles.
Wow.
And so this is a big shift. The way that you have it, you have the South Node in the 11th house of like community on one level is what it represents. So it's like this real refinement of your friend group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And on the other edge, the South Node, or excuse me, the 11th house represents like your ambitions, even like your income. It's like how you network out there. And so, yeah, it's like, okay, obviously like really refined spiritual ambitions, but that could be really high and idealistic, you know? And in this super, it gets you to not take action as much because you want to be more perfectionistic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so really it's just about fully aligning that spirituality, so to speak, with your ambitions and with your community and such. And I know I've read for you before, so I know that's like a big part of who you are. And especially with this like super uh, like mystic, unconscious mind, right? And then this right here is the like super duper spiritual warrior, right? Like all like passion, right? Mars, Jupiter, and the North Node, like being fully passionate about passion,
Right.
right? And so, yeah, it's just maybe with how you present yourself, even to be this like this more refined like gift for people to experience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, but just with the South Node of the moon cycle, I mean, it's 7 years, right? And so it's maybe in a way you could work with it by bringing people into your world, into your zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And have that like safety with that. Um, so yeah, I mean, how does this all land for you? you know?
Sounds right on track.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. The gifts of like being that spiritual oracle warrior, they're not they present themselves whenever they want. And so it's literally just taking the reins and
Yeah.
surrendering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I went through this 7 year South Node of the moon cycle, but I was like 23 to 20, what is it, 30, whatever. And the way that I have it, yeah, it was just, and what I've experienced from all my clients is it's this really extreme period, right? Where you're just like going for it. You're going for moksha, you're going for your ideals, you're going for enlightenment, right? And so the risk is not taking any action, you know?
Okay.
Now I don't think you have as big of a problem with that, because of this like spiritual
Mhm.
warriorish, like doing your creative passion, right?
Mhm.
But it still it is like a little bit more trepidation with it, right? Um, and so, and then also being that it's conjunct your Mercury, that's going to really trigger this like oracle thing, right? I see Mercury with the South Node is one of the biggest combinations for super intuitive, like channeling, right?
Yeah.
And like non-linear thinking,
Mhm.
ultimately. So it's almost like, okay, what would be good to plan is, since Saturn is with the South Node right now in Saturn's structure, and it's with that extra dimensional enlightenment thing, it's like set up the structures now to be able to hold the container for you to just be able to go whoop, for people, and then that the Earth plane is taken care of, right? So
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, and so that means maybe like hustling more financially somehow, you know,
Yeah.
um, or just arranging it so that your finances are supported by this channeling capacity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely a time to look forward to with like, okay, I need to really take care of the earth plane, and develop now practices that keep you on the earth plane, that keep you structured and grounded. So
Yeah.
getting really organized with your finances in a way, like maybe talk to a planner or something, and just have like an outside perspective, to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to take off with this thing, right? But still be on the earth. Yeah.
Okay,
Cool. Yeah.
great. What is my Venus doing up there?
Yeah. Well, it's up. So Venus, you're this is the seventh house planet, which is relationships, and Venus is relationships in itself. And so it's exalted, right? The best place it can be, um, which is like,
Exhausted or exhausted?
um, well, both, um, because it's showing this quality of like true relationships is our connection with the divine, right? But you probably want to be with a human, though, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, you probably don't actually. I don't know, right? And so that's the thing is like it's exhausting because gosh, there isn't any gods or goddesses here. There's only these like plain humans around, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes like a really spiritually oriented kind of person, and usually they renounce uh, the sexuality in a way, right? They're like, this kind of guy is like off in a cave somewhere, or girl, whatever you're into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it's yeah, it's just the dilemma of like half the time, half the people I read for are very spiritually oriented, and usually this is their karma with relationships, and I don't necessarily know the solution, you know. It's not like don't lower your standards, but
Mm-hmm.
like allow people to be human, and obviously you want the person to be very spiritually oriented, into creating that passion, and cultivating that all the time. Otherwise, because if it doesn't feel that way, a lot of times Venus and Pisces people feel that if there's no magic, then it's broken. There's no relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to be with somebody that can keep that magic going all the time. You know, and so obviously people that are into that, I don't like using this word, but like the like tantric practices, to cultivate that divinity through relationships. And that's also a big thing about your moon in the constellation Vishaka, where it's like two gods in one, right? And so it's like people are trying to get two things in one, right? That divinity, but also like a businessman at the same time, right? Yeah, so ultimately it's being able to be with somebody that their focus is that cultivation through romantic relationships, and that dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you're on the west. You're in Northern California, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're in the right spot for that kind of person. Right. If you're like in the Midwest, it'd be like, I don't know about that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. Okay,
Great.
excellent. Well, yeah. Do you have any other questions?
I mean, it's all it's like it's right there. I think my only other question, we can even do a reading on it if it's separate, is like, where is home on this chart?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's interesting. So the
You know,
moon, the moon,
bring, yeah,
home is in like location.
yep,
Yeah. Well, yeah. We would have to look at the astrocartography.
yeah,
Um, but just in general, it would be a big question for you a lot of the time because the moon uh, rules the fourth house of home, and that's the one that's right here, right? So it's like, oh, home is there, no, home is here. No, where's home? Right?
Ah.
Yeah. And so it's really listening to Shimshai and being like, home is where the heart is. Sorry. Oh God. Um, right. But yeah, it's like cultivating that container, and that's a theme that I was recommending already with the coming cycle.
Mm.
To cultivating that container within yourself. But in this case, with that coming cycle, it's like actually you need the physical one solid, right?
Yeah.
To be able to take off into this.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I would figure that out.
Mm.
um, and just, yeah. And then also, of course, it's like, how do you create that container where home isn't an option potentially, you know?
Mhm.
But ultimately, you want to create that structure in home. Um, and what you're looking to move, like out of California and different zones anywhere in the world, or
Uh, yeah, I spent last year pretty much traveling,
I see.
um, looking at places.
Hmm. Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, it'd be good to uh, get that going. There's going to be an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, uh, July 16th um, and July 2nd. And so those ones will cause some kind of like instability in a way. So it'd be good to, in regards to home, um, and so it'd be good to like have that figured out before then,
Mm,
you know, so that you could sit with that and do more transformation with it. So
okay.
yeah, but yeah, we'd have to look at the astrocartography and pinpoint the little spot that
Yeah.
that would work. Cool.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for being on.
Thank
Uh,
you so much.
yeah, and excited for the next shift. It's always nice, no matter what the shift is, to know that there's like, oh, a big transition. Like I'm going to operate from a totally different zone, you know, and yeah, so it's just allows when you know that you can be like all together and have more, you know, breakthrough energy in your life, you know, and have more magic.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a preparation for maybe being a famous, you know, channel in a way. So that no one could see, or you know,
Yeah,
yeah, interesting.
I like
Okay,
that.
cool. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, yeah. Talk to you later.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Super fun stuff. Well, thanks for everybody for tuning in, and yeah, you could schedule a reading with me in the link above. And also, I'm working on a project where I'm going to be uh, looking at people's chart for just like 97 cents or something crazy, and looking at people's charts and giving you a specific mantra that is going to help you activate, you know, success and empowerment in your life. And I was really inspired to do it for this upcoming new moon, like I said, which was in the this like Lord of Dharma, um, and so and also just the Astro Weather is going to start getting really intense in May, June, and July. So I just wanted to give people like a really simple tool that takes like less than 5 minutes to do to align you to that Dharma, and you know, getting a specific mantra that's based on your chart. You know, people try to say like, oh, you can just do this practice, but they don't see you individually, right? And so by looking at your chart, you can get the precision of like, oh, that's the key right there that will unlock the whole thing. So cool. I'll keep you in tune with that coming up soon. But yeah, thanks for all tuning in.